Good morning, guys. It is 5:30 in the morning for me. Um, so if you're wondering why I'm sitting in darkness, it's because I just woke up and I don't really want to have too much lights going on in the room. Hopefully that's not a problem. Um, I have a 50 streak on my daily challenge, which I'm quite proud about. Um, but what I'm more excited about is the World Cup, which is coming up in less than a week now. As I'm filming this today is Saturday morning. World Cup starts on a Wednesday, so that's basically showtime. When you think about it, World Cup is kind of like it's like the Christmas of the GeoGuessr calendar year, you know. Well, or it's shaping up to be at least, because now it's like everyone's excited. The biggest event of the whole year is going to happen in the coming week. Um, And yeah, I'm excited. I will be going there as a spectator. Um, and yeah, I am really looking forward to the event. So, World Cup 2024 predictions. That's what this video is titled. So let's get into that. We now officially know all the participants of the World Cup. We have quite a few details. We even have the lineup of all the matches. We know the groups. So of course I'm going to go over all of these. Um, and get into all of that. We have the casters this time. I'm really glad a lot of faces from last year are making it back. I'm also happy Toby has made it back. He was quite a great commentator, I think. So it's nice to see him. Um, and yeah, let's get into the predictions, I guess. So first of all, we have this sheet for it, and I would like to definitely mention this person, Atom, on X, who made the sheet. He also makes sheets for other events, but thank you for making this. Um, and yeah, shall we get into this? So, naturally, these are the groups. We have Blinky, CG, Consus, Finbar, Sheena, and Swan Gambit in the first group. Of course, the biggest talking point here is um, the fact that Blinky and Consus were put into the same group, and from what it looks like, they will also be playing against each other first, so GeoGuessr is also sort of kind of highlighting. Oh, that's not it. That we're gonna kick off the new World Cup with a rematch of the finals, which is an interesting way to go about it for sure. Group B, we've got Bag, who made it through wildcard four. Um, I'm very happy he made it through. Of course, I play with him very often. As some of you might have seen on Twitch, me and Bag did a 1 million run co-op the other day, which is it took a while, you know. We were there for like 12 hours. Um, but yeah, um, happy he made it through. Then he's also got to face Crooks, Debray, Orlando, Toporic, and Zigzag. Now, this is quite a stacked group, and it really can go quite a few ways, you know. But we'll get into all of that with the predictions. Group C, we've got Armani, Jake Lyons, Kirania, Kratsu, RC, and Spaghetti. Um, I think this might be the group that's maybe the most stacked in moving. Maybe not actually. It's I'd say it's kind of well balanced when it comes to that because you've got Blinky, you've got a I don't know. It's still a pretty solid group here. And making out of it in this group is not going to be easy. And then Group D, you've got Eamon, Fao, Jinji, Kodiak, Mada, and MK. This is also a group that I find really hard to predict because it really can go so many ways. But let's just get into it. I see in the sheet I can just predict every game, and then it just updates the whole thing. Um, am I going to do the playoffs? We'll figure it out. Maybe. Might as well. Who knows? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the game order, which was not out when the sheet was made, I think. But now it is out, so might as well use it. So yeah, let's get into this. starting off with Blinky versus Consus rematch. Naturally, last year it was the final, and that was best of five, and Consus won the best of five because he managed to take a moving game of Blinky and then won both no move games. This time it'll be best of three because it is in the group stage. So let me find Blinky versus Consus. Okay, it's right here. Okay, before I actually make any predictions, I do want to say that a lot of the players here are my friends, and I'm gonna try and be as unbiased as possible. Um, and also, if I put someone in, lower in my predictions or whatever, you have to keep in mind that it's really hard to make predictions. So it's not like I don't believe in them. If whoever I put in sixth place makes it first, I'll be very happy for them and all that stuff. So don't take these things too seriously. It's just some predictions for fun. Almost all of the times, predictions are completely off, especially in GeoGuessr. So yeah, just don't take it too seriously. I'm here for fun. I've been playing in a bunch of these tournaments, and I've seen myself being put in these predictions as well. It's just like you don't have to think too much about them if you're a player. But anyway, all of that out of the way, let's get into this. Consus versus Blinky. I think Blinky um, is still the favorite for moving in the entire tournament. Kratso is up there definitely, as well as a lot of other players, of course. But yeah, I think Blinky, I would still say, takes the moving game against Consus. Um, and then no move and NMPZ, I really would say I still give it to Consus here. Um, but you also have to keep in mind that Blinky here wants to prove a point. He wants revenge from the World Cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Blinky is gonna surprise everyone with a no move win. Um, and he he beats Consus. Um, of course, nothing against Consus because, you know, as I said. Um, so I'm gonna go with a surprise 2-0 win for Blinky. If I had to not go for a surprise win, I would say 2-1 for Consus. But you got to put some surprises, some upsets in these predictions as well. And I don't necessarily think this is an upset, but I think Blinky is going to stun some people no moving this time. Alright, next we got Sheena versus CG. Um, Sheena played in APAC against me, and I've seen him play multiple times. I've played some practice games against him as well before APAC. So I think I'm generally familiar with his playstyle. CG, on the other hand, I played against in the last World Cup, and he actually 2-0'd me last World Cup. He was the only person other than RC who beat me in the group stages. So I think people underestimate how good CG can be. Um, he's pretty solid no move, pretty solid moving. He's actually really solid moving, I would say. Um, but he doesn't get enough credit for it. um, and then you also have to remember his expertise with US. So if he gets the US round on high multis, he can definitely win a bunch of games, which not a lot of people have that advantage. Um, so when it comes to Sheena versus CG, I think it really comes down to what rounds they get. Sheena, we've seen, has struggled with nerves a bit, and given that this is the first game of the tournament for Sheena, I would say that it's definitely possible he might feel some nerves again. Hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully he can do he can feel more confident this time. He played really well in the wild card as well. Um, but I'm gonna go ahead and say CG is gonna take the moving game. I do think Sheena will take the no move game, but then I'm gonna go ahead and say CG wins NMPZ, which I've seen a lot of predictions and I've seen a lot of people say CG is gonna lose all his games. I feel that's really harsh. This is what I'm going with for CG versus Sheena, which is again not a very popular prediction, I know, but That's just how I see it. Next we go to Finbar Swan Gambit. Okay, actually this is gonna take ages, the rate at which I'm going. Um, but we'll just keep going and see what happens. Finbar Swan Gambit. I think Finbar, I've been watching his gameplay recently. He has been playing very well. Um, Swan Gambit did prove himself in the Polish wildcard. But I do think Finbar is very solid moving. Um, I think he doesn't get enough credit for his moving gameplay, maybe. Um, and then no move, of course, they're both very strong. It's hard to pick one. But I'm gonna go ahead and give Finbar a 2-0 win here. Um, you never know. This could go completely wrong, but that's just what I'm gonna stick with for now. Then we get to Sheena versus Finbar, which is going to be quite interesting because they're both very strong moving and no moving. Um, I feel like at this point Sheena will probably have calmed himself down a bit if he, if he still feels the nerves in the first game. So I think Sheena can definitely get a moving win against Finbar here. Um, no move, it's still pretty hard. I think no move and NMPZ, I still give Finbar a slight edge. So I'm gonna go ahead and give a 2-1 for Finbar against Sheena. Then we got Consus versus CG, which is, you know, I gave Consus a 0-2 loss here. Consus is probably, in my opinion, the most balanced player in this game. Like his no move, moving, and NMPZ stats are all pretty good. Um, it's really hard to bet against the world champion, So I'm gonna go ahead and give Consus a 2-0 win against CG. Definitely could be proven wrong, and I would be very happy because personally, if I'm not gonna lie, I really want CG to, get top three. Because I really I really enjoy his content and whatnot. So um, I hope he can prove us wrong um, on this game, but we'll see. Swan Gambit versus Blinky. Um, yeah, again, I don't have anything against Swan Gambit, but I really think Blinky is very, very solid in moving uh, and no moving. So I do think it's going to be quite hard to get a game off him. So I'm just going to go ahead with a 2-0 for Blinky here. Um, so I've put Swan Gambit losing 2-0 so far twice, but I do think that could change on this game right here um, against CG. Um, I still think CG has a bit of an edge in moving, but it also depends on the gameplay because you never know like who's going to insta-send, who's going to play it out. Um, Especially with Swan Gambit, I'm not very sure what his strategy will be against CG here. Um, so it could end up in just a 2-0 win for Swan Gambit as well, I think. Um, but if I have to make my honest prediction, I think I would go with CG winning the moving game and then Swan Gambit winning no move and NMPC ending in a 1-2 win for Swan Gambit. Um, that's where I am with that game. Then we go to Finbar versus Blinky. Like I said, I'm just going to give Blinky every moving game because he's just Blinky. Um, the no move game, I think Finbar definitely does have a chance to win. Um, and I really don't know how it would go NMPC if it has to come to that. So I don't know what to do with this one actually. Definitely giving Blinky the moving game, and then it's either a 2-0 for Blinky, or then does Blinky win NMPC against Finbar? I might have to give Finbar the edge NMPC. I'm not sure. So I think it really depends on the no move game. I think I still. I don't know. I'm gonna go for an upset Finbar win here. 2-1 win for Finbar against Blinky. Let's see how that goes. It could be just completely wrong, but I'll give my boy Finbar some. I'll put some trust in him here. Then we move on to Consus versus Sheena. Um, Consus versus Sheena. I think Sheena still can take, if he's in the right state of mind there. I think Sheena can take the moving game of Consus. But I do think no move Consus is very, very strong. And then NMPZ, I've seen Consus play a lot of NMPZ games. He is very good at NMPZ as well. So that's what I'm gonna go with. Sheena takes the moving game, Consus gets the others. And that's where we end up. Then we go to Consus versus Swan Gambit. Um, Again, I think Consus, like I said, is a very balanced player. Um, Maybe I'm underestimating Swan Gambit a bit, but I do think Consus wins this one 2-0. I could be wrong, and I would be, like I said in the beginning, very happy if Swan Gambit ends up winning the entire group. I would be happy for him, and if he can advance that way. But it's like it's just my predictions. It could be completely off. It is what it is. Sheena versus Blinky is the next one, and this is also sort of one of those matchups where they both have similar strengths in moving and no move. But I do have to say I favor Blinky here with a 2-0 win. Next we move on to, where was I? Here. Finbar versus CG. Oof. I mean, Finbar is very strong moving as well, and I feel like it's quite hard to bet against him in this matchup when it comes to moving, no moving, especially. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Finbar a 2-0 win if CG can take off the moving game here, or no move actually. If he gets a song like a good like US round or something, no move, he could definitely could do something there. But for now, I'm gonna go with a 2-0 for Finbar. Blinky versus CG. Again, it's really hard to bet against Blinky, so I have to go with a 2-0 because, moving wise and no moving wise, I think Blinky is just very strong. Finally, we go to Consus versus Finbar, which is going to be an interesting matchup, I think, because I think moving wise, they're both fairly similar in strength. They both have the technique down for moving, but when it comes to, yeah, like Consus knows, yeah, I don't know. It's really tough, I think, to pick a moving winner here. Um, what I'm gonna say is that it's gonna be, I think Consus will win no move, and NMPZ as well, but Finbar could take the moving game. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with a 1-2 win for Consus here. And then we're left with Sheena versus Swan Gambit. Um, so what do I have as? Actually, I can just see the standings so far. So right now I have Swan Gambit with a win. Sheena, wait, do I have Sheena going 0-4? That doesn't sit right with me. Um, but I do think Sheena can indeed win this matchup. Because moving and no moving, Sheena's strengths are right there, I think. So I can definitely see a 2-0 win for Sheena here. Not that as not that I'm putting that in because I had him 0 here. But I do think something like this does look like a realistic leaderboard for the Group A. Um, I do think Finbar is pretty strong, and I do think he'll make it to the top three. Consus being third, maybe might not happen. Yeah, it's like it's pretty close in this as well. So I'm gonna leave it at this and move on to Group B. Um, and let's see what we have there. How many minutes? 20 minutes in. Okay, this might be a long video. I might have to cut some things down. So this is very close group, I think. Starting off with Topotic versus Debris. That's such a hard game to predict. Um, I think it really comes down. I think moving Debris takes the win. Uh, it's so hard. These are two of the like they are OGs of the game. They have been around for a very long time in the community. So they both have that experience. They both have all that knowledge from years of playing. Topotic won the EMEA as well, of course. But I do think Debray is very strong. So I'm going to go ahead and say Debray wins moving. And it really comes down to who wins no move. Because I do think I give Topotic a slight edge in NMPC. So if it comes to NMPC, I think Topotic takes the win. But I'm going to go ahead and say Debray will take this 2-0. Let's see how that goes. Orlando versus Crooks. Now, Orlando proved himself in the Americas. I think Crooks can do better than what he did in EMEA. I think we didn't really see his full potential there. So I think, how do I go about this? I do think actually Orlando can take the moving game here. I could be wrong though. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go with a. Oh, what do I go with? No, I think I go with a 2-1 win for Crooks here. I think I'm alright with that. But it could just be a 2-0 for either of them. I can't lie. But let's move on from that. Zigzag versus Bag. Um, I think Bag, as we've seen, is a very quick sender. He can guess the place right very quickly usually. Um, on the other hand, Zigzag has been preparing for this World Cup for months. I know, like I'm sure most of you know, he also left behind his day job. He went full time into GeoGuessr, and he's been practicing a lot. Um, so I think what really it comes down to here is how Bag plays on LAN, because I've never seen him play on LAN. Um, and if he feels nervous or any of that, hopefully he doesn't. I don't think he's the sort of person to feel nerves on LAN, but you never know. The pressure and it can get to you sometimes. Um, but nonetheless, uh, I do think moving game wise, Bag definitely takes the win. He's very strong moving. And even if it's not like you can insta send against Bag, this guy is the insta sender. So Zigzag insta sending moving won't really work against him. I think Zigzag will try to play it out moving. But I do think Bag has um, slightly better, or yeah, I do think Bag is a better player moving. Especially, maybe I'm biased because I played a 1 million co-op with Bag, but I've seen how good he is moving. So I do think he'll take that. No move. I have to say, I mean, I'm a bit biased here, I think, but I want to say Bag takes this 2-0. But you never know when it comes to no moving, Zigzag, I think Zigzag's strongest mode is no moving. And I would guess Bag probably wants to insta-send against Zigzag when it comes to no moving. But I do think Zigzag can actually take this. And then, but when it comes to NMPZ, I have to favor Bag. I think he's one of the strongest NMPZ players in this tournament. So I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna go with a 2-1 win for Bag, with Zigzag winning the no move game. And let's see how that goes. Orlando versus Zigzag. This is an interesting one. Um, again, I think Orlando is pretty consistent, or for most of the time, he's pretty solid, pretty consistent. Um, and so is Zigzag, to be fair. It's a really hard one to predict here as well. If it goes to an MPZ, I think Zigzag takes the win here. But otherwise, I do think for Orlando, I think this has to be a 2-0, or he probably loses 2-1. I'm gonna say that Orlando definitely might have a chance to slip, especially if I've given him the loss on the first round. Then he might, coming off a loss is not easy. Oh, I guess Zigzag's also coming off a loss here. Um, I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna go for a 2-1 win for Zigzag. Um, I think, yeah, I don't know. Either moving or no moving, I think Zigzag can pick up one game, and then he can win NMPZ. That's my prediction here. Then we go to Toporic versus Crooks. Oh, this is a tough one again. Um, I do think I slightly favor Toporic here. Um, I do think Crooks can win one of the. I think Toporic definitely. I'm not sure. My prediction is going to be this. I'm going to say Toporic wins moving, Crooks wins no move, and Toporic wins NMPZ. Bit of a ping pong. Um, but that's where I put this game. Then we move on to Bag versus Debray. I think Debray is kind of scared of Bag. Well, probably not, but he sounded kind of scared after the wildcard 4. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I think if Bag is in his element and can insta-send well, I think he has a pretty solid chance to beat Debray 2-0 here. Um, but it could go wrong. So it's I think Debray can still. So what I'm gonna go for here is I'm not even sure. I think it really comes down to how Bag plays this game. Because Debray has a lot of knowledge when it comes to. I think he was learning US counties and phone codes and stuff like that. So if you give Debray enough time, I think he can beat Bag. Um, but if Bag just, consistently, like, if he plays like how he did in Wildcard 4, he just 2-0s Debray, I think. Um, but I'm gonna give Debray a win in either moving or no move. I'm not sure which one. But then I think Bag wins NMPC either way. So I'm gonna give Bag another 2-1 win here. Um, moving on, we have Bag versus Crooks. I think Bag versus Crooks is a very similar matchup to Bag versus Debray for some reason, where it can go. Like if Bag insta-sends again, he can just 2-0. I'm just gonna go for that actually. I'm gonna say Bag is just gonna insta-send and beat Crooks because by this point he's already played 2 games. This guy has the attention span of nothing. So, um, I think he'll have lost his attention span, and by that point he can't be bothered. He's just going to be insta-sending. I think he wins just on that. Um, but you never know. Then we move on to Zigzag versus Debray. Ooh, I think Debray does take the moving game. I know Zigzag has been practicing moving quite a bit, and he has, for instance, been learning couple button and um, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I do think when it comes down to looking for information or moving the correct way, I think Debray is probably a bit more experienced at that. Um, no move, I do want to give Debray also a bit of an advantage here. Um, nothing against Zigzag, of course, but I do think Debray can win this 2-0 here. Moving on, we go to Toporic versus Orlando. Ooh. See, this is one of those rounds that can go either way for moving. Uh, Actually, I'm even going to give moving to Orlando. But I do think in the end Toporic wins 2-1 for the no move NPC. So that's where I'm at for that game. Um, then we go to Topotic versus Bag. Um, Actually, I do think Topotic has a pretty solid chance of beating Bag here. Um, Mainly because Topotic has sort of um, I don't know. He has the experience. Like if Bag insta-sends, Topotic can probably still make a good guess within those 15 seconds that Bag gives him. So I feel like that's not really gonna the insta-sending is not really gonna throw Topotic off. And then just in general, if we have to look at like Toporik has that sort of experience. He's played EMEA. He won the EMEA. He played in the last World Cup. He has that LAN experience. Um, he's obviously not a bad player. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to uh, just in general a lot of different parts of the world. Um, I do think Bag still can take the moving game. But I do also think Toporek can just win the moving game here because he's probably going to use the information that he has. I don't know. This is hard to predict. I'm going to go for a Toporek 2-0 win here, actually, I think. Because I think he definitely can. If I have to pick one person who I think is going to beat Bag in this group. No, I don't know, actually. I could be wrong. It's so hard to make these predictions, man. Oh my god. I'm just gonna leave it there. Then we go Orlando versus Debray. Ooh, what do I do with this one? See, Orlando is very strong no moving. Ah man. Now I feel like I haven't done Orlando justice here. No, I'm gonna actually go ahead and revise some of these. I think Zigzag versus Orlando. I think Orlando can actually win moving and no move here. Yeah, I'm actually going to change this to 2-0. I feel like I'm underestimating Orlando a bit here. Crooks, Topotic, then you got Debray. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it here. I'm gonna say Orlando gets 2-0'd by Debray. I'm sorry, but I think Debray is very strong. Ah, it's so tough to predict these. No, I'm actually going to say it's 2-1 for Orlando for Debray here, because I do think Orlando takes a no move win at least. He's like I think people underestimate how strong he is no moving. I saw his games against Finbar and Jake Lyons, and he is very strong no moving. Um, so I'm gonna leave it there. Zigzag versus Crooks. Crooks again, like I said, underperformed a bit in EMEA. I do expect him to play much better this time. Zigzag played very well in APAC as well, but for the moving game, I do think I still have to give it to Crooks. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and give Crooks the no move fin as well, I think. Now I feel like I'm doing Zigzag a bit of injustice here because I have him losing everything so far. But it's so hard. This group is very hard to predict. Um, I don't know. But I really don't want to bet against Crooks, you know. That's where I'm coming from here. Uh, I'm sorry, Zigzag, and all the Zigzag supporters. Um, then we move on to Debray versus Crooks. Ooh, Debray versus Crooks. I think Crooks actually has the potential to upset Debray here. So I'm gonna go for a 2-0 Crooks win here as well. I think Crooks can pull these upsets, and I want to put some belief into him, and I'm gonna put it in these matches. Um, and we'll see how that goes. Then we move on to Toporik versus Zigzag. Um, See, the thing is, if you go to game 3 against Toporik in this group, I almost always want to say Toporik wins NMPZ. Maybe Bag. Yeah, I don't know when it comes to Bag versus Toporik and NMPZ. But um, I really can't bet against Toporik and NMPZ. So even if Zigzag takes a moving or no move win, which I think he might, um, I do think NMPZ, Zigzag, or Toporik probably takes the win. Now it's terrible now because I've put Zigzag losing every game, which is oh my god, this is so hard. Okay, I'm just gonna roll with that. Orlando versus Bag. Um, yeah, what about this one? I think Bag. I think it goes 2-1 to Bag, if I'm being honest. I think Orlando can win either moving or no move. Um, I think no, actually, I think Bag will win moving. Orlando wins no move, and Bag wins NPC. That's my prediction. Oh, I don't want to see what results this is put in. Okay. Oh man, how do I have Debris getting out? Oh man. No, I can't have Debris in fourth place. No, okay, they have the same record and same game difference. And who is in? Oh, this Crooks beat Debris here. Is that my prediction? Oh, it is. Okay, so that's why Crooks would qualify, according to this list. Um, and then Bag and Toporic, quite similar. I feel so bad for putting Zigzag -8. Oh, that's wrong. That's not gonna happen. That is totally wrong. Um, see, I should never have done predictions. This is not my cup of tea. This is too hard. But this is what I've ended up with. Will this happen? I don't know. I am giving Toporek the advantage because of his EMEA win, but you never know, Debray could have won EMEA as well. Oh man, what do I have in Debray versus Toporek? I wish I could just pick a draw in some of these. See, if I put Toporek 1, Debray 2, but for that it has to go to NMPZ. Oh wait, no, I have Debray the win again. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna overthink this. This is where I ended up. This is what it is. I'm sorry, Zigzag. That's all I've got to say. Anyway, let's move on to Group C. Armani, Jake Line. Oh, this is also. Oh my god. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done this. Okay, Group C. What's the game one in Group C? We start off with Kirania versus Jake Lines. Oh, that is an interest. That's gonna be a fun matchup. You have to give Jake Lines the moving win here, I think. Um, Kirania was alright moving when it comes to APAC in his group, but let's be honest, he is not the best moving player. So I don't really think he's going to win moving. But I do think Kirania wins no move and NPC. So in the end, I do give Kirania a 2-1 win here. Uh, his mental is pretty strong. I saw in APAC he's pretty strong mentally. It's not like he's gonna feel the pressure. Well, he might, but like, it's not like I don't think the nerves will affect him too much. Um, then we move on to Kratso versus Armani. This is a tough game to predict as well. I do think Kratso takes the moving game. Um, but then when it comes to no move, I think no move is the big decider here. If Kratsu wins no move, he wins 2-0. If he loses, I think Armani's going to win 2-1. I do want to give Armani the advantage on no move, so I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for Armani here. Um, moving on to Spaghetti versus RC. You know, it's really hard to bet against RC. Especially if RC gets the moving win against Spaghetti, it's almost guaranteed that RC wins, I think. So I think he's definitely capable of winning the moving game here. So I'm gonna go for a 2-0 win for RC in this group. Moving on, we have Kratzo versus Spaghetti. Again, I give Kratzo the moving win. I do actually think that Spaghetti can pull a no move win here. Kratzo is very strong, no moving, don't get me wrong. I don't know. But I do think I'm gonna give Spaghetti a no move win here. And then I do think Kratzo wins NMPZ though, so I'm gonna give a 2-1 win for Kratzo here. Next game we have is Kirania versus Armani. Oh man, this is gonna be a fun moving game. Kirania versus Armani moving. Who wins that? It's basically a no move game at that point. Ah. Alright, this is what I'm gonna go with, right? I'd say Kirania slightly edges out Armani in moving. And Armani wins the no move game. But then Kirania will win NMPZ. That's my prediction. Um, I know Armani is extremely strong NMPZ as well, but I want to give Kirania the NMPZ win there because he is also, I think he's most in his element in NMPZ. So that's that. Then we go to RC versus Jake. It's again very hard to beat RC, and if Jake has to win, or if Jake wants to win, he has to win against RC in moving and also probably no moving. Just quite hard. I do think I have to give RC a 2-0 win here. Um, again, I could be proven wrong quite easily, but that's just how I see it for now. RC versus Armani. Again, moving game I think goes to RC here. Um, when it comes to no move, see, I actually think if this went to NMPZ, Armani would win. But when it comes to no move, yeah, it really comes down to, I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and give RC a 2-0 win. But I do think if Armani wins no move, he can win 2-1. That's my prediction. Then we go to Spaghetti versus Shake Lions. This is a hard game to predict, you know. I do think Jake Lyons does win moving here. And you have to keep in mind, Jake Lyons has a lot of experience on his back as well. He's played in the Paris World Cup, he's played in the last World Cup, he's played in the Americas. Spaghetti is fairly new to the game even still. And he did make it through APAC, surprising a lot of people. And I do think, however, that Jake Lyons does win moving here. Oh, no move. I don't know. I'm not going to actually go for this one. I think Jake wins moving, Spaghetti wins no move, and Jake takes the NMPZ. That's going to be my prediction. I know Jake is not very confident in his NMPZ skills, but I do think he can win this one NMPZ if it comes down to it. But you never know. In any case, let's move on. Kirania versus Kratzu. See, these are like quite polar opposite players. Kratzu definitely wins when it comes to moving, I think. It really comes down to the no move game, I think. Will Kratzu beat Kirania? No move. Ooh. I don't know. This is so hard. I don't know. I'm gonna give Kratzu the win. I'm gonna say Kratzu wins 2-0. Let's see what happens. This can go a lot of ways. Then we have Kirania versus RC, which is probably Kirania's hardest matchup, I think. It's kind of similar to Kratzu actually, because I do think Kirania stands a chance NMPZ, but And he's not gonna win moving, I don't think. So it really comes down to no move again. I really find it hard to bet against RC no move. So I'm gonna go with a 2-0 win for RC again. I've been giving RC a lot of 2-0s, I think. But it's just how it is, you know. What can you do about it? He's just very strong in moving and no moving, and those are the first two games you play. If they sort of had a dice roll for which modes you'll play, I think you'll see a bit more upsets with RC. But the way it stands right now, I think he's very strong. Next, you got Kratsu versus Jake. I think if there's one player who can beat Jake moving in this group, it's probably Kratsu. Um, and then no move. I really also have to go for. I don't know. No, I'd really have to go for Kratsu, I think. Um, I feel sorry for Jake now because I've given him. I haven't really given him any wins, I think. Oh no, I gave him a win against Spaghetti. Okay, that makes me feel a bit better, but it's not like he's a bad player, you know. I've seen a bunch of his World Cup games. He's been playing fine. um, but it's just such a hard group to get out of as well. Next we have Spaghetti versus Armani. I do think Spaghetti wins the moving game here, but I really find it hard to believe that Spaghetti will win against Armani no move or NPC. Oh, see, now I feel bad because now I've given Spaghetti no wins. Oh my god, this is hard. I'm gonna do a 1-2 for Armani here. Um, Moving on to Jake versus Armani, it's kind of the same story. Where I do think Jake just wins, or Armani just wins 2-1 again, with the same sort of, you know, Jake winning moving, Armani no move, NPC. I actually haven't predicted many upsets so far. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it that way. Then we have Kirania versus Spaghetti. Ooh. I do think Spaghetti wins the moving game again. But I don't really think he's taking the no move game here. But if he does take the no move game, you know, he just wins straight up. So, you know, I'm gonna go for an upset. Or am I? Am I gonna go for an upset? Am I doing this because... no, I don't know, I don't know. I have to predict some upsets. But really, beating Kirania no move is no joke, you know. But Spaghetti has proven people wrong in APAC. So I'm gonna say he's gonna do it again here, and he wins 2-0. Finally, we have Karatsu versus RC. This is gonna be a tough one, you know. Karatsu versus RC. We have to keep in mind that Karatsu was the one who actually beat Blinky in EMEA. So if there's one person capable of beating RC, it could be him, you know. He can win he can definitely win moving, I think, against RC. He has that advantage. Or slight advantage at least. No move, I still think I prefer RC. But maybe Krasu can pull a win NMPZ, or maybe he can just pull it no move. I don't know. I'm actually gonna bet on Krasu a bit here. You know, I'm gonna go for a 2-0 win for Kratsu, which is definitely not the most, you know, intuitive, probably, giving RC a 2-0 loss. But I think it's possible. So let's go into the standings. In the end, Kratsu and RC end up with the same wins. Armani edges out Kirania in third place. And then we have Spaghetti and Jake Lyons. I think I'm overall okay with how this ended up. Again, like I said, it's not like I have anything against Jake or Spaghetti. And I would be very happy if they can prove me wrong and they can go all the way. But that's just where I'm going to leave it. That's where I ended up at. Then we move on to the final group, which is Group D. Oh man, this is gonna be so hard to predict. Uh, all right, let's take a look at Group D. We start off with Shinji versus Mada. The one thing about Mada is that he's fairly consistent player. Shinji, on the other hand, can be a bit inconsistent. So, just on the basis of that, I'm gonna give Mada the moving win here. I do think Mada is stronger at moving, no moving. Shinji is probably stronger at no move NPC. So I'm gonna say Mada takes the moving game, but I do think Shinji takes no move NPC. So we end up with a 2-1 for Shinji there. Fao versus so the thing with Fao is that I haven't seen him play at all since the Americas. So I have no clue what he has been doing, if he's been practicing, if he has been grinding, what he's been grinding. I have no clue. So my knowledge is from ages ago, from when I saw him play Americas like 6 months ago or even more, I think. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give. See, Eamon I think is pretty solid moving, and people don't give enough credit for him. He beat Sheena moving in the APAC, and I think. What do I do here? I feel like the moving game can go either way because I feel like Fao and Eamon are probably equally good moving. This is the hardest matchup to predict so far, I think. What do I do with Fao versus Eamon? I feel like they are like mirror images of each other. Who do I give the win? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna give Eamon a 2-1 win here. I think. I think I'm gonna say Eamon wins moving in NMPC. I know Eamon doesn't rate his moving as much, but that's just because he's humble. I've seen him play moving. He is very good moving. Um, and then I'll give Fao the no move win and Eamon the NPC win. Then we have Kodiak versus MK. Ooh, this is also a tough one. Kodiak played very well in EMEA. He's been playing quite well recently as well. He's in good form, I would say. Um, but so is MK. You know, MK has been like the past 6 months. You have to say MK has been one of the most improved players. Or well, I don't actually know how good he was 6 months ago, but definitely as of now, he is very good. Um, yeah, I do still think Kodiak has the advantage moving, but I'm gonna give no move and NPZ to MK here and say that's a 2-1 for him. This is such a hard group to predict. Then we go to Fao versus Kodiak. Again, I think Kodiak is probably the strongest moving player in this group. So I'm gonna say Kodiak is gonna take the moving game against Fao. And I do think Kodiak has a chance to beat Fao no move as well. It's a tricky one, no move. It's a tricky one because Fao is pretty good as well. But I'm gonna give Kodiak the advantage here. I'm gonna say Kodiak wins 2-0 here against Fao. And see where that goes. Then we have Shinji versus Eamon. Again, I think Shinji might do his insta-sending a bit against Eamon. But it's not like Eamon is bad at no move, so I think he'll be fine in the moving game even if Shinji insta-sends. So I'm gonna give Eamon the moving game here. But when it comes to no move and NMPC, actually I'm gonna go with. Is this an upset? I'm gonna say Eamon is actually gonna win moving. Shinji is gonna win no move. No, I think I have to give it to Shinji. I think Shinji wins this 2-1. Um, then we move on to MK versus Mada. I do think Mada can win moving again. If not, then no move. I think Mada definitely has the potential to win one of the games out of moving, no moving. but I do think MK wins NMPC. So in the end, I'm gonna give MK a 2-1 win against Mada. Um, then we have MK versus Eamon. This is also a tricky game to predict. It's certainly one of those games where also one thing to keep in mind here is that Eamon is one of those people who might get affected a bit if he loses, so the mental also plays a role here. So it's very important for Eamon to be able to keep his mental up, because if his mental is up, he plays really well. So hopefully, if I've given him this loss here, he doesn't, feel have a negative mindset after that loss. Um, so I think actually I'm gonna say the MK can pull a 2-0 win here, because Eamon's coming off a loss, MK is coming off a win. And then no moving, I think, yeah, MK does stand a chance to beat him. So I'm gonna end up with that prediction. Then we have Kodiak versus Mada. Again, I do think Kodiak wins moving. I do, however, think that Mada can actually win no move. And then NMPZ who wins. No, I think Kodiak wins NMPZ, so I'm gonna give Kodiak a 2-1 win against Mada here. Moving on, we have Shinji versus Fao. See, I think Fao is one of those people who's actually capable of winning against Shinji. Just because he's very composed, he is very level-headed, and he's a very well-rounded player. So even if Shinji decides to insist against Fao, I think he'll be totally okay with that, totally prepared for that. And he can definitely win the moving game, I think. Then it comes to no move, and again, I think Fao definitely has a chance of beating Shinji no moving. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Fao a 2-0 win here. It's maybe a bit of an upset, because I think Shinji definitely has a chance of winning 2-0 or 2-1 or something. But I'm gonna back Fao in this game. Then we got Shinji versus MK. I do think that Shinji can beat MK. Maybe not in the moving game, but I'm gonna say a 2-1 win for Shinji is definitely possible. So that's where I'm gonna go with that game. Then we have Fao versus Mada. See, these are both very similar players in my mind, in the sense that for no move and moving and no move at least, where they're both fairly consistent, fairly level-headed, or fairly composed is the better word, I think. And I think what happens here is that Mada probably wins moving, Fao probably wins no move, and then Fao wins NPC. That's my prediction. Ooh, I don't know. Ooh. Does Fao win no move? That's where it comes down to, I think. If he loses no move, I think, yeah, I mean, Mada wins 2-0 in that case. I think it's either a 2-0 for Mada or a 2-1 for Fao. Oh, this is so hard to predict. But I've given Mada only losses as well, which is not great, I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna give Mada a 2-0 win, because I think he's capable of it. Then we go on to Kodiak versus Eamon. Kodiak, I think, takes the moving game. I don't know. I do think Eamon can actually pull back. I do prefer an Eamon win when it comes to NMPZ. So if Eamon can win no move, I think he can go all the way. So I'm gonna go for that. I'm gonna predict a 2-1 win for Eamon on this. Which could be wrong. I don't know. But I these guys are both my friends, you know. It's like I have to put one of them under the bus. Someone has to lose, someone has to win. Um, and I'm gonna back Eamon on that one. Then you got Mada versus Eamon, which is an interesting game. Oh, this could go either way as well, you know. I'm gonna go with exactly what happened against Kodiak. I'm gonna say Eamon was gonna win 2-1 in no move and NMPC. Because NMPZ, I definitely do prefer Eamon to win here. So if he can pull a win in no move or even moving, I think he can go all the way. That's my prediction. Then you have Chinji versus Kodiak. Kodiak, again, I think wins moving, but I do think Chinji wins no move NPC. Could be wrong. Kodiak is pretty strong as well. Um, Especially no move. You know, it really comes down to the round in a lot of these. Like if you get an indoor round, Kodiak just wins. I mean, maybe not. I don't know actually how good Chinji is indoor, but you know, on a high multi indoor round, Kodiak can definitely win. Um, so that's where I am with that one. Then in the end, we have Fao versus MK, and I'm gonna go with a similar story to what I had in Fao versus Shinji, where I think Fao can actually um, pull the win here. Um, just because you will be surprised how composed of a player Fao is, and a person in general, you know? He is very composed, and that really helps, especially in high pressure situations like these. So I think he's also fairly decent at he's a fairly balanced player is what I mean to say. So I think he can actually pull a 2-0 win here. That's what I'm going to put. Maybe it's a bit of a upset, or I don't know actually what people's favorite is for this matchup. But that's what I'm going to put. And in the end, we end up with Chinji in first, MK in second, and Eamon in third. Ooh. I was actually not thinking this was the standings that I was going to see at the end. But you know, I'm okay with this. It's definitely possible. So we end up with Chinji, MK, Eamon, and Kodiak. See, it's like I think Kodiak can make it through. I think Fao can make it through. I think Mara can make it through. It's so hard to predict. You know, it's like there can be so many upsets. Like especially for example here, what did I have for Mara versus let's say, see Mara versus MK. You know, he could win that matchup. Mara versus where is it? Mara versus Shinji, he could win that 2-0. It's so hard to predict these. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna stick with this. This is where I'm at the end. So I have Blinky, Bag, Kratsu, and Jinji winning the groups. Then I have. Alright, let's just see the playoffs here. This is where we end up. So Finbar versus Crooks is where we are. So these are going to be best of fives, I think. Yeah, might as well just fill this up, shouldn't we? Um, so Finbar versus Crooks, we're going to be seeing. I'm going to say this is going to go down to an NPC. You know, I think it's going to be. No, is it though? No, I think this is what. I think this is what's going to happen. I think Finbar wins both moving games, and I think. But hmm, I mean, we saw Crooks crumble a bit in EMEA, and Finbar played really well in the EMEA. I'm gonna back Finbar here. You know, I'm gonna say he wins 3-1. He takes one of the no move wins and ends up on top. RC versus Eamon. I hate to say it, but I have to go with a 3-0 win for RC here. It's just RC, you know. It's just I do think Eamon pulled two moving wins against Sheena. We have to keep that in mind, you know. That guy, if he is in the right mindset, he can do crazy things. You know, I'll give Eamon a win. I think 3-1 is also fair for RC versus Eamon. Ooh, Topotic versus Consus rematch. Oh man. You know, last World Cup, Consus eliminated Topotic? No, wait, I don't actually remember. In EMEA, Topotic eliminated Consus. But, you see, I do think it's really hard to bet against Consus. Um, best of five, I think Consus takes both moving games, and he just has to take one no move game off Topotic, is my prediction. I think I'm gonna go with another 3-1 here. I don't think any of these are going NMPZ still. MK versus Armani. Ooh, this is a tough one. MK versus Armani. Who do I go for there? I think moving games, MK wins both of them. Armani has to win both no move games and the NPZ game to qualify, I think. I don't know. Hmm. Alright, I'm gonna go with. I think MK can pull one no move win as well. But if not, no, actually, I'm gonna go with MK winning both moving games, Armani winning both no move games, and then it coming down to NMPZ. Who do I prefer NMPZ? I don't know. I really don't know. I probably prefer Armani a bit NMPZ. Uh, I'm gonna believe in Armani. Let's go for it. Armani. Oh, we have two Netherlands versus France finals now, or quarterfinals. Um, but I'm gonna keep it that way. Oh, but we have Blinky Consus in the quarterfinals? Come on. Oh my god, okay. Alright, let's see. Quarterfinals. We have Bag versus Finbar. We have to also keep in mind, by the way, that MK doesn't have LAN experience, or at least for GeoGuessr. So, I don't know if he's played it for other games. So, I have given him quite a few wins, but it's going to be interesting if he feels the pressure in LAN. Where did I put him in the group stat? Oh, I have him in second place. Yeah, if he crumbles under pressure, you could easily have Kodiak or Fao, in the top three, or Mada, or yeah, anyone basically. So that's one thing to keep in mind, of course. But anyway, Bag versus Finbar. I think it's really key if this game does happen for Bag to insta-sen against Finbar in the moving games, especially. Because if he gives Finbar enough time moving, Finbar's gonna win. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and say they're both gonna win a moving game each. They're both gonna win a no move game each. And then I think Bag wins NPC. That's my prediction here. Then we go to Gingy versus RC. I do think RC wins both moving games. I think he just needs one no move win. I'm gonna go for a 3-0. No, 3-1 win for RC, I think. That's my prediction. Plinky versus Consus, a rematch of the finals. Oh man, I don't want either of these to get eliminated here. Uh, best of five. Last time Consus won a moving game that allowed him, that advantage. This time I don't think Blinky is gonna slip up moving. I think he wins both moving games. On the other hand, Consus, it's kind of similar to last year where I do think he thinks he still wins both no move games. And when it comes to NMPZ, I can't really bet against Consus, but I also don't think Blinky is gonna lose two no move and one NMPZ games. This is so hard. I don't want Consus to lose. I don't want Blinky to lose. I want them both to win. Oh. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go for a 3-2 win for Consus. I'm gonna say it goes to NMPZ and Consus wins NMPZ. That's. I'm sorry, I don't know. I kind of thought Blinky would win this World Cup, but now that the matchups have come out this way, I have to prefer Consus. Um, Kratsu versus Armani. Kratsu again wins both moving games, I think. Armani can win both no move games and then NMPZ, but it's kind of similar to what he has to do against MK. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if Kratsu can get a win here in the no move department. So I'm gonna go for a 3-1 win for Kratsu. Um, so this is the semi-finals in the end. Bag versus RC. What do I do here? I do think RC wins both moving games. Even if Bag insta-sends, I think RC is good enough to keep up with that. Bag has to win both no move games, and I don't think that he's actually going to manage that. I'm going to say RC wins 3-1. I think Bag can definitely get a win somewhere. If it does go to an NPC, I think Bag wins. But if it's just moving, no moving, I think RC has that advantage there. Um, Moving on to Consus versus Kratsu. I do give Consus both the no move games here. And then I give. What do I do here? I give Consus both the no move wins. Kratsu, I would say, would win both no move games, but even if it goes to NMPZ, I prefer Consus. But I do think Consus is capable of getting a moving win as well, so I'm just gonna say he's just gonna win 3-1. And we end up with an RC Consus final. This can go either way. This can go either way. Um, I think it's going to be very even. I think Consus wins at least one of the no move games. RC wins at least one of the moving games. I would say even RC wins both moving. Consus wins both no moving. It's hard, you know. I'm just going to leave it up to interpretation. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-2. It goes to NMPZ. And then Consus wins NMPZ. That is my prediction. And then that puts Consus as a two-time World Cup winner, which is which is quite a. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. If I didn't go through every game like this, if I just had to make a random prediction for who wins the World Cup, I would have said Blinky. But with how these matchups have lined up, it turns out that um, the way I expect the matchups to go, Consus is going to win the World Cup. So that's where I'm at in the end. This has been quite a long recording. I might have to cut things down, but that's where it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your predictions below. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup? What not? What are the things that you find intriguing in my predictions? Let me know. And I will see you guys next time. Actually, I'm going to go to the World Cup. If you would like to see a vlog of the World Cup, let me know in the comments, because I've been thinking about it. You know, I might just pull out the old camera and go recording some stuff there. Um, because I'm not a player this time, I'm going as a spectator. I have more time to do these kinds of things now. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Again, before I end, keep in mind these are just predictions for fun. This could be completely wrong. For all I know, Swan Gambit, Zigzag, Jake Lions, and Mada could win their groups. For all I know, Eamon could win the World Cup, Armani could win the World Cup, Crooks could win the World Cup. Anything can happen. That's the nature of this game. Um, but this is where we are. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and let me know if you'd like to see a vlog.